hello. I wanted to have a quick chat to you about rosemary. Oh, she's an amazing ally. Now, rosemary is fantastic for memory. I love rosemary for that. Now, if you watched a video I did a while ago about doing fresh herbal infusions as opposed to tinctures, as opposed to a cup of tea. And if you remember, anything that's really, really strong to smell, which rosemary is, it's not really great to use it for a herbal infusion, which is like a 48-hour soak in hot water, and then you drink it from there. It doesn't taste very good in a cup of tea because it is so strong. But what you can do with it is make a tincture. So I did a video not that long ago about Melanie and doing a alcohol tincture. Now, this is fantastic for a tincture. It's quite woody, so it's really woody on the stem, and the leaves are really quite soft. So the reason why it's good for alcohol is because, especially a 50% alcohol like vodka, which is 100 proof, it's got 50% water and 50% alcohol. So the alcohol is going to get in there and it's going to break down all of those alcohol soluble compounds, and that's the hard bits. And then the water soluble components, which is the soft bits in a herb, it can break that down and extract. So we're extracting two things, and that's why rosemary is so fantastic to make a tincture out of. So I'm out here because I'm going through menopause, and one thing that menopause affects is a little bit of a foggy brain. So rosemary is fantastic for that. It's also anti-inflammatory, antibacterial. It's great for gut health. It's got so many great uses to it. So I'm going to do a little bit of a harvest, and I'll take you inside and do a really quick how to make a tincture. I brought my washing basket out, only because that was the only thing available as I was walking out the door. I usually have a lot of baskets at the door, but I think my daughter's gone. So look, you don't need a lot. That's all I'm going to use. And let's take him inside. Okay, so here we are, ready to make a tincture from rosemary, a rosemary tincture. So using alcohol, it's so simple. So because rosemary is so aromatic, you don't really need to chop it up, and because those leaves are so fine, you don't really need to chop it up. So you can just pop it all in there, and you can use stems, all the stems as well. Now, it's not optimum to use a flowering woody herb because all of the potency that we want is in the leaves and in the stem. But I need my memory tincture soon. I'm about to run out, so I'm going to put some on because this is going to take a good 8 weeks. It's not optimum to use them when they're flowering, but it's still good. It's that potent that it really doesn't matter that much. It's just not ideal. But anyway, so it's just really simple. We're using fresh herbs, just got it straight from the garden. Pop it in there. You can use dried herbs, dry rosemary, just depending on what the source is. You know, you want to get as certified organic, less chemicals as possible. So just to recap, rosemary is all about memory. Great for if you're doing any studying, great for kids doing their HSC, if it's called HSC anymore. So we're just packing it in as much as we can. You can see how much herb was there and how much I'm getting into this jar. Now, if you're you know, I've been on a bit of a budget, and you can't afford to, because it's quite expensive, this to fill this whole jar up with alcohol. It's you know, it's going to cost like $50–60. So what you can do, you can get a little jam jar. You can get a tiny little jam jar. You can get a little baby food jar, and you can have a whole. You can get probably about 10 different tinctures from a big bottle of vodka. 100 proof is what we want. You can use less, like you can use, say, if it's only a 40%, just make sure that you put the tincture on for a little bit longer. I buy my vodka bulk from a supplier, and it's vodkas. I like vodka because it's made out of potatoes. It's a vegetable base, as opposed to a grain base. It's just a different sort of alcohol. So this is the alcohol I like. Because we're on Facebook and you can't show any bottles of alcohol on Facebook. So, and this is going to go on Instagram as well. I'm not too sure about Instagram rules. So that's it. So basically, I've shoved it all in there, packed it in, and now, and I've kept a few aside because I want to make a lovely little bouquet and put it on the table. So it's quite lovely. Oh, and the smell. I love the smell of rosemary. It's invigorating, great for the memory. It's an antibacterial. It's fantastic for gut health as well. So the only thing that you really need to make sure you do is have no airspace. So as you can see, I'm filling that right up to the very, very, very top, and you can see, well, you might not be able to see, but you can see all the bubbles, the air bubbles coming out, and that's okay. Just simply put the lid on. I'm not going to shake it. I'm going to leave that basically sitting up on my shelf in my kitchen where it's going to get warm. It's out of direct sunlight, but it's going to get warm. And I'm going to let this, because it's 100 proof, I'm going to let this sit for 8 weeks. If you've got 40 proof, just let it sit for a little bit longer. The good thing about alcohol, especially 100 proof, 50/50, is that it's almost foolproof. You don't have to do the maths. You can use ethanol, but ethanol, you've got to do the maths. You've got to actually water it down because it's not fit for human consumption. You've got to do, there's a lot of maths in there. With this straight off the shelf, whether it's 40% alcohol or 50% alcohol, as close to that 50% is the best. You don't want it more. That's what I'm trying to say, I think. Just try not to get it more than 50. 50 is perfect, the cutoff point, without having to do all the maths. So if you Google how to make an alcohol tincture, you'll see that the maths is actually quite involved with the volume, I've heard. But this is the simple way to make a herbal tincture for yourself to help with really mild ailments. And I am missing my rosemary tincture. I've actually consumed it all, and now it's time to put some on. So there you go, our beautiful rosemary tincture. And I'll put this up with a list of instructions, pretty easy. Stuff a jar, fill it with 100 proof vodka, let it sit for 6 to 8 weeks, and then strain. No less than 6 weeks. I'd go for the 8 weeks. And if you forget about it and 6 months later you come back to it, it will still be fine. Okay, there you go.